Hello, it's CisVolk. Have you ever wondered how one new die and embossing folder combo can totally transform your card making? Today I'm going to show you exactly how that works and why this collection is something special. You probably already know how much fun card making can be, but today's new release from CarlaCreates by VaessenCreative takes inspiration to a whole new level. This collection is packed with beautiful designs. And I'm so excited to show you a first look at some of these lovely new products. Over the next 2 months I will be working with every single item in this release, so you can look forward to loads of fresh ideas, techniques and plenty of card making inspiration you can try at home. The collection called Bloom and Zoom is full over flower themed products, also with bees, flies, butterflies and caterpillars. There's a gorgeous flower background stamp, and this one is an updated, improved version of an earlier design with craft emotions, but larger and not cut off at the edges. There's also a beautiful 3D flower embossing folder, and it comes with a matching flower stencil that fits perfectly together. You can layer them if you want, so you can decide which part you want to color. I'll show you a fun way to use this stencil and folder combination in today's card. There are also matching flower dies in this collection, including 2 large flower dies and 3 different leaf shapes. There are even more flower stamps with the same leaf designs, but in this video I will be using just these ones. There's also a lovely border flower die, perfect for birthday cards, Valentine cards or wedding cards. This die cuts at the edge and leaves a pretty embossed border behind, so one side is cut and the other side stays embossed. For today's card I will be using the embossing folder and the stencil together with the flower dies. And I'm turning it all into a fun flower shaker card that I think you'll really enjoy. All the product details and shop links are listed below in the description, so don't forget to check them out. Enjoy watching! The flower is cut slightly above the center from an A6 sheet of watercolor paper. We're going to use both pieces of paper. Using a permanent marker, I placed a black dot in the top left corner on both the embossing folder and the stencil. The flower stencil and the 3D embossing folder fit perfectly together. It does need to be positioned correctly, otherwise the flowers will not line up in the same spot. So keep that in mind beforehand. To begin embossing, place the pretty side of the paper onto the flat hollow side of the embossing folder. Position the paper so the flower sits roughly in the center. Then carefully close it, and the embossing will soon appear raised on this side. Place the embossing folder into the Cut Easy machine with the hinge facing toward the center. This allows for better pressure distribution. Now take a look at how beautiful the result of a 3D embossing folder is. So nice! We leave the paper inside the embossing folder. The folder adds firmness to the paper. Next, place the stencil that we marked earlier onto the pattern. You don't necessarily have to add a dot to your stencil and folder, but it makes finding the correct position much easier. I'm going to use Distress Oxide in the color Crackling Campfire, and I will apply it with the new mini blending brushes from VaessenCreative. With these brushes you can blend very precisely and evenly. First I'm going to apply a little ink onto a scrap piece of watercolor paper. I am not doing this neatly on purpose. It can be blotchy and irregular. I will be using this piece of paper later as a background behind my flower. It is a fun way to color freely without control. But it's also helpful for distributing the ink well between the bristles of the brush, so we can color beautiful flowers on the embossing later. Because the stencil is placed on top of the embossing, we can now add color to the flowers without getting ink in between them. Very lightly, I apply some ink using circular motions. For this card, I think it looks best when the ink is not applied too heavily. And we don't necessarily have to color every flower. You can choose to color just a few and leave the rest white. Since the embossing folder is still underneath, it provides firmness if you accidentally press too hard while coloring. And the stencil also stays very easily in place. After picking up new ink on my brush, I first wipe it onto the scrap paper so I am sure the flower I color on the stencil will not become too dark. The flowers I color are chosen at random, just not too close together. For most of the video I will not explain everything. I assume it speaks for itself what I am doing. But if something is not completely clear, feel free to ask questions in the comments. I am happy to help. And I also really enjoy connecting with you card makers. After applying a strip of foam tape around the opening of the flower die cut, I cover the sides of the very sticky tape with a light layer of powder from the embossing pouch. This prevents the sequins that will go into the shaker from sticking to the foam tape, so they can move and shake freely. First apply the powder, then remove the backing from the foam tape, and next add the sequins into the opening. Finally, add the colored background paper. Press firmly before shaking. I apply a layer of Distress Oxide ink onto a strip of watercolor paper. With these blending brushes you can create very smooth blends, especially on watercolor paper. But now I'm working very quickly and very messily on purpose, because it does not need to become an even color. It is actually nice when it resembles the piece of paper that serves as the background for the shaker. I start with a piece of 4 cm, but eventually I trim it narrower and it becomes approximately 2.5 cm. Here I test whether the paper is dry enough. By sprinkling embossing powder over it, you can clearly see where the paper is still wet, because the powder will stick to those areas. My strip is nicely dry, but if powder sticks to yours, simply brush the embossing powder off and let the strip dry a little longer before continuing with stamping and heat embossing. For stamping, I use this amazing sentiment stamp set. There's a lot of choice between different sentiments for various occasions, with both large and small letters for a beautiful combination. They are sentiments designed for Dutch uses with an English wordplay included. And that is exactly why Carla's sentiments are so brilliantly fun. I stamped the sentiment with VaessenCreative ink and heat embossed it with white for a nice pop-up effect. You will see that I use a Vaessen marker to add an extra layer, allowing me to apply more powder to the areas where the embossing was not sufficient. That is a great hack for fixing small mistakes. Stamping with a stamping platform can also help prevent missing spots, but stamping with a clear block is the quickest option. As always, you will find all the information you need in the description below this video, including affiliate links to the products I used, so you can easily find them if you want to try them yourself. I also included a link to the CarlaCreates Facebook inspiration group, a great place to share your cards, get ideas and connect with other makers. If you want even more creative inspiration, you can also follow me on Facebook, Pinterest and Instagram, where I post lots of fun handmade cards and share card making tips and tricks. Make sure you have subscribed to my channel and tap the bell so you get a notification when there's a new video online. There are lots more videos for you to watch, and I hope you will find loads of ideas you can use in your own card making. I am already working on new samples with this lovely collection, and there will be another new video next week where I will use the bee stamp and dies with even more card making tips and tricks. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye bye!